Welcome to Faith, Family, and Freedom, the show where we stand on truth, strengthen our homes, and fight for the future of our nation. I'm your host, Authur Gorman, father of three, school board member, and a proud member of Moms for Liberty. Here to remind you that our faith is our foundation, our family is our first ministry, and our freedom is our responsibility. Each week, we will uncover how to live boldly for biblical truth, raise strong families, and defend the God-given right that makes America truly free. So grab your coffee, pull up your chair, and let's talk about how we rebuild these walls, one family, one community, and one act of courage at a time. Hey everybody, thank you for coming to our first podcast of Faith, Family, and Freedom, where we are going to learn together how we can stand on our faith, protect our families, and learn about our personal freedoms. And here I have today with me Katie Gorman, my wife. Isn't she beautiful?
Hello, welcome. We're glad to start this journey on this new podcast, and we're glad you're here today on our first episode.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about the three pillars of faith, family, and freedom. And when we talk about faith, we have to talk about how each of us in our own communities have stepped up in faith over the last 5 years. So a little bit of an origin story of how we began. And Katie, tell us about how you stood up for faith.
Well, so I guess, yeah, like going back to, what kind of got us involved in all of this. And I think back on, of course, everybody talks about Esther 4:14. And, it's a little bit of a promise in there, but it's also kind of a warning where it's, we just knew that we couldn't stay silent. And we knew that we needed to rise up for such a time as this. We needed to stand in the gap and protect our community and say something. Many people were there with us alongside it, but there were times where it got really hard. And I remember you coming to me and saying that you really wanted us to have the Bible verse, the one where it says
Galatians 6:9.
Galatians 6:9, and it says that never tire of doing good. And that was something that you and I would, as each other waned in our strength, we would use that to talk ourselves out of it and to remember that it's not about us, it's about something that's much bigger. And we started using that with our children. And so I really like to think of it like Galatians 4:14 got us, or Esther 4:14 got us in the fight, but Deuteronomy...
Galatians 6:9.
Galatians 6:9, sorry. Galatians 6:9 really was what kept us in the fight. And so that's really, kind of looking back on that time was so crazy. I mean, such a crazy time. One that at the end, really kind of forged us and got us into what we're doing now. So
right, and we stepped out in faith even before the last 5 years, and we started an upward ministry with flag football, where we got many communities to come together, all walks of faith, to come together for kids, to play sports, to talk about Jesus. And Galatians 6:9 was one of those things that never tire of doing good. So as we stepped out in faith and joined God in his work, God brought amazing people from this community together. So when the lockdowns happened, when that came, God's people came together, not only to protest and file their grievances, but actually to step out in faith, in courage, and fight back. We went to our school boards, we went to our city council members, we went to our county supervisors. None of us were really political. We're just moms, dads, grandpas, and grandmas stepping out in faith and really doing for such a time as this with Esther, and also building on the Galatians of never tired of doing good. We have this 15 days to remind you guys of what happened during the lockdowns. It wasn't just affecting us here in Shasta County or California. Some amazing people came together and made a documentary called 15 Days. Remember, it was 14 days, 15 days to slow the spread, which turned into multiple years, multiple lockdowns, and multiple people stepping up in faith and courage to file their grievances against our government. So let's show that.
Environmental justice helps create educational justice.
Use this for the society that we want to see.
We need to close schools.
Bam!
COVID is God's gift to the left.
15 days.
15 days to slow the spread.
My name is Natalia Marukfer. I'm a New York City public school parent.
I had a really nice teacher.
Stay at home.
It was just so hard to learn.
Limited amount of bandwidth.
Low-income kids were way less likely to have technology.
Teachers didn't care. They took the REMs down.
Kids couldn't get recruited. They weren't allowed to go into a public high school.
Didn't want to lose sight of our hopes and dreams.
Everybody is scared.
Fear!
Out of an abundance of caution.
Abundance of caution.
How could this really happen?
15 days.
We knew that remote education was not a substitute for opening schools.
Student engagement was much lower.
Kids that I competed with
Disappeared.
they were gone.
I want to shut down.
This is the story of the families who fought to uncover the truth.
California Teachers Association,
the teachers union,
was doing opposition research on parents.
Really high level of coordination.
15 days.
I don't have a direct number to Director Walensky, do you?
Yes, I have Director Walensky's direct number.
What a great gift. We have to use it.
Basically, in the name of equity.
Keep everything shut down, especially the schools.
Is it the virus keeping the schools closed, or were there special interests?
This was the biggest smash and grab.
Stop the bleeding.
More money.
We need $1 trillion.
That's a sick society.
On top of that, another $100 billion.
We create the future that we want.
We change narrative, we change lives.
All of a sudden, you have
George Floyd protests.
If I go out and carry the right sign, I can hang out with 1,000 people.
Following the death of George Floyd. The piece that I didn't understand, you can protest.
But 28 kids can't go sit in a classroom.
15 days.
We're just watching the news.
Propaganda.
Oh, kids get sicker.
We don't know the mortality rate.
No, they are not getting sicker.
Infection fatality rate much lower in reality.
We're harming them more psychologically.
Life years lost from the lockdown exceeded life years lost from the virus.
We had struck a chord.
15 days.
We were attacked.
How dare you question any of this?
Despicable behavior.
White supremacists.
Death threats.
Cause misery.
Kids will recover.
Enough.
15 days.
15 days.
15 days.
15 days.
No one's coming to save our kids but us.
Wow. Watching that movie, we just, I mean, it just kind of takes you right back to where it is. I recommend that you watch it. And, you know, just kind of reflect on that time and just, you know, renew in your mind, never again.
Right.
It's really where I'm at.
Yeah. That's the deal. It's like, why did we get involved in local government? We stepped out in faith, and we thought that putting out goodwill at every level of government, that we were going to be met with people that were like-minded, that would open the schools, would get back to life, that it would only be 15 days. And we found that we did not have that in our local representation, and that's why we now fight for local control and try to get parental rights candidates in every level of government, from the school board to the White House.
Okay, so let's move on to family. You know, family is our first ministry, and it's really, you know, such an important pillar to this show and our life, and you know, it's kind of the first classroom of character and citizenship and everything within our family. So, in our home, what are some habits that are really grounded for our kids? What do we do?
Well, every day we have a great room. You know, we knocked down all the walls in our house when we remodeled it several years ago, because we found that family is the most important thing, right? So the living room was divided from the kitchen nook, and the kitchen nook from the kitchen, and then also the living room. So it was 4 divided areas. So what we did was we opened that up so that our family could cook together. We could watch TV together. We could spend time together. We could do our homework together. It just became like a community center, but in our own home with our family. And so we model things like, you know, some people would say a Monday test. We wash dishes together. We cook together. We clean together. We do homework. And that right there is how you build your family, but it's also how you show kids how family and community work. One of the biggest things that happened through the lockdowns, I got sick with COVID. I'm a nurse at the hospital, and working in those areas, we were exposed to COVID, right? So we were the first people to get it. I got sick. I was on oxygen for 5 weeks. And during that time, I'm somewhat prideful because I don't like people taking care of me. I like to be the one that takes care of other people. But I really had to give it up to God and ask for help. And that's when my family came together, my friends, my coworkers, even the church, They had people coming to bring us food. They had people paying our bills. They had people coming up and people we didn't even know doing random acts of kindness just to get us through those five weeks, because I wasn't really making any income. We were there with our kids, had to go back and forth to the hospital, and it's like in that great room, our kids not only got to see some of the worst days that we ever had, but some of the best days, because not only did our family come together, our friends came together, our coworkers supported us, and our community, which was amazing. And we learned that really quick that we didn't have to rely on government, because government was never going to come to save us. It was our friends, it was our family, it was our community, and it was our church.
I remember back in the early days of the lockdowns, you had given a similar public comment to that effect. And taking back, that was such a crazy time. I mean, that was when we really needed that family and that community, because some of the most important people in our county keeping us safe were on the chopping block at that time.
That's right. It's crazy to think that as workers, you're a teacher, I'm a nurse, as we're in the front lines, essential workers taking care of the community, that we worked through the whole pandemic, right? And we got sick with COVID multiple times. There was no vaccines available. We just held the line and crossed the line to take care of our patients, to take care of students. And the government, in their infinite wisdom, thought that they had the answer. Their answer was, take the vaccine or lose your job. Take the vaccine or your kids don't get to school. So it just made it to where the government was taking away your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness, because you can no longer provide for your family and your kids can no longer go to school. So this is where we got activated, because we're like, if our family and our friends and our community members can take care of us, it's our time to take care of them. And we need to step out in faith and family and a community and protect each other, because the government solution was to take away everything. Our solution is to provide freedom to everyone.
Yeah, I just think about, recent, just right now with the shutdown of the government, how quickly they can just turn everything off. And this is why our message to people, of course, if you're in a moment in your life where you can't be self-reliant, we've had moments in our life where that was true for us. We just spoke of one in particular. Then you do need help from your community, or sometimes the government can step in. But all of these people being reliant on the government for their SNAP benefits and then having those turned off in a second, I hope, if you can, if you have family members, you take care of them. Because if we're all on those and then something like this happens, there's no help. There's no help to look for. So this is why we are not for communism or the idea that the government can solve your problems, because they've proven time and time again to not be very reliable when it comes to that.
Right.
So that leads us kind of to the freedom aspect.
Yeah. Well, freedom is responsibility, right? You can't have your freedoms if you don't have responsibility, and that's our third pillar in faith, family, and freedom. So we saw our freedom slipping away during that time. Like, I want to go to work and provide for my family. No, you can't. I want my kid to have a free and equal education. Well, they aren't going to have that. And so we had to learn really quick, and we had these amazing people. And, we had the state of Jefferson people, we had the New California people, we had, who else? The homeschool moms, the Maha moms. We had amazing patriots. We had conservatives, we had liberals, we had far left activists, all coming together because they knew what their rights were, right? They knew what their freedoms were given to them in the Constitution, and we all came together to provide choice for everybody. And that's what we stood together on those days when we had the walkouts, when so many people stood home. I think it was like 40%, because we started realizing what the Constitution said, what our rights and responsibilities were, and that we could stand on that contract, the Constitution, to give us the right to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, and that's kind of when we really, I guess, conceptualize the we the people idea, is that, you know, the government, we are in charge. And we were going in there and they were acting as if we were plants and, you know, not really listening to a word we were saying, and we had truth and we had everything on our side. And, you know, in retrospect, we can say that very loudly now and know that we can stand on the fact that we did have that truth. But, you know, if you're feeling powerless or in all of this stuff that's going on when we're having AB 495 passed, Prop 50 passed, all of these things, you feel powerless. But at the end of the day, you know, we can look back on that time that we just went through, watch that movie 15 Days, and realize we averted one of the biggest crises that we could known to man, because all of us here in Shasta County, we stood up and we really, really, really told our government that we are in charge. And so, you know, that's the biggest thing. And the responsibility thing that you just brought up was so important. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, because freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's the ability to be responsible to have those freedoms, right? So as we've been going through this and learning the Constitution and really studying what it says and learning from the patriots in the past, from state of Jefferson to the Tea Party and all those folks that have come together to really educate us on this, you know, freedom really doesn't come without your responsibility to it. And we have an amazing opportunity with a biblical citizenship training, if I can talk, that we just finished biblical citizenship with Rick Green's Patriot Academy. And they go over the Constitution, they go over the history, they over the why we ran away from a tyrannical government for faith, family, and freedom, so that we can have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it really taught us how we can apply that everyday life and what we're missing so much, because what we've done is we've settled for comfort. I mean, we really have a first world problem. We have the comfort of having a shower every day. We have Wi-Fi. You know, if PG&E shuts off the power because it's too windy, you know, people start throwing a fit and having meltdowns. Like, that's not something that a third world person even relies on. They don't have that type of freedom to where they can do whatever they want without regard for somebody else. And so freedom comes with responsibility, but you have to build that into a culture. And that's why we believe in faith, family, and freedom. I want to show the 200th anniversary Rebuilding Liberty with Rick Green, and invite you to come every second Thursday of the month and hang out with us, learn about the Constitution, learn about where your rights come from, and learn about faith, family, and freedom.
The purpose of this course is to make sure that they know why that flag is worthy of being waved.
Wherever you are watching from, we're not rebuilding a structure without giving the right foundation.
And our burden should be to transform a moment into a movement. The entire globe is moving towards the right.
Recommend this edition of the Bible to the inhabitants of the United States. I thought our founding fathers were a bunch of atheists, agnostics, and deists who wanted a secular public square, who didn't want the Bible in schools.
Fight like it's your last breath. But know this, the truth is over the facts, that God's not giving you a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind.
What do I want my legacy to be on the way out? That I was safe or that I was dangerous?
Amen. No, this nation is not perfect. I'll take America for any other country or nation on the face of this planet. How about you?
So you can see through the last 5 years before COVID, we got really comfortable. We forgot where our rights come from, and our rights don't come from man. They come from God, our creator. And so that ultimately leaves us to a calling. We are called for such a time as this to stand on biblical truth, to stand on the Constitution, that contract that our government, we the people, give to our government, because we give them the power. They don't do it from top down. It comes from bottom up, grassroots movement. So let's not get too comfortable, right? And let's know where our rights and our responsibilities come from. And what do you have to say about what's going on?
Well, I guess the last thing really to talk about is the call to action. You know, if you're sitting there on the fence and you're feeling like, you know, there's things that you don't like about what's going on in our government or in our community, maybe you're such a time as this moment, and it's time for you to get involved. We have how many school board? It's like hundreds.
We have 25 school districts, right? And each school board member, there's about 3 to 7 on each one of those. So every year there's 50 to 75 school board candidate positions open. So a very big way to get involved. I always tell people school board is a low time commitment. It's not like you're the city council, the board of supervisors, where you're expected to have a full-time job, but you are expected to read the agenda, right?
Yeah.
Very important to understand what you're supposed to vote on, and it's about 1 or 2 meetings a month. And it's something that affects the next generation, which is really important, why parental rights in our school districts is a top priority for us, and we need parental rights representation at every level of government, especially in our schools, because you can make a huge impact on the next generation. And that connects the faith, family, and freedom, because, you know, we stand on our faith, we protect our families, and then we show the next generation where freedom comes from. There are also different ways that they can get involved. If you don't feel like you can be a school board candidate, that's okay. We can train you to do that. It will be an amazing experience, and you'll love giving back to your community. But if you can't do that, you can always support a candidate, right? You can go to school board meetings. You can go to the city council, and you can go to the board of supervisor. All these folks need your support. So this month, top priority, we want you to watch 15 Days. You can find it on X. You can watch it for free, but always give a servant what they're worth. And if you can donate to them, please do.
I'd love to maybe do a showing here at some point. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, maybe at the library or at a local church.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then, also, we have the biblical citizenship class going on. It's actually happening tonight on this Thursday, but if you can't make it to this Thursday, come to next month. It's going to be an amazing experience, and you want to be part of that. And then just get ready. We need precinct captains, and what is that? That's something that you are a neighborhood community member that knocks on your neighbor's doors and informs them about current events that are going on, passing out information to get them involved. Like, we had our mail stolen the other day. How do you get involved? You start a community watch. You go out with your neighbors. You make sure that your mail's not getting stolen, right? So there's just simple, small acts that you can do in order to make a better community.
And finally, share this episode with a friend. Follow us online. Join us next week as we talk about living out your faith in the public square.
That's right. And that's it for today's episode of Faith, Family, and Freedom. Remember, stay strong, stay faithful, and never stop fighting for what? Faith, family, and freedom. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Faith, Family, and Freedom. Remember, our faith is what sustains us, our family is what strengthens us, and our freedom is what calls us to action. If you were inspired by today's conversation, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with your friends, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and join the movement to restore truth, courage, and conviction in our communities. And before you go, take one small step this week to live out your faith in action. Whether it is praying with your kids at home, attending a school board meeting, or standing up for what's right, your voice matters. Together, we can build stronger families, defend our freedoms, and keep faith at the heart of America. Until next time, I'm Authur Gorman. Stay strong, stay faithful, and never stop fighting for your faith, family, and freedom.